YouTube, welcome to another episode of Drisky Has Way Too Many Drift Cars. In all seriousness though, we ended up buying this IS right here, and it is super cool, but it takes up a whole spot in my garage. I've got a lot of stuff to do to it. I did the speakers and the head unit and everything. I fixed the power windows that was not working at all. Power doors weren't working at all. Put a new shifter in there. Not just the knob, but the whole new shifter. Used cube, really nice. And I got a lot more stuff to do to it to make it drift ready. And then I think I'm gonna keep it NA for now and keep it as a low power car for people who want to go out and have low power tandems instead of using the Corvette, which I actually just got back. And I'm already doing stuff to it. We got the full FDF kit on there. It's a really nice kit. I actually just got it aligned at Phillips. If you're local to the Orlando area, there's no one else I'd trust with a custom alignment specification than Phillips. They're out in Longwood, Casselberry area. It's Fern Park, but it's a small area. So I got everything dialed in very well. I'm gonna kind of test it out here, which you guys will see, and we'll make sure that the hydro is all lined up. I've been working on the lines here. There was a small leak, but I'm actually also doing some heat shielding, as you can see here. So these tunnels get pretty hot with drifting a C6. So we've gone ahead and put some DEI heat shielding all up and down here. Got the exhaust all off to do that, and I'm gonna put it back on after I shield the starter, which is another common thing. When you install long tube headers on a C6, apparently it's one of the worst things you could do in terms of heat. I did not install these, they came with the car, but it's a little late to take them off now. So the main concern here is that starter and how close it is to the headers. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this little metal heat shield on there. I'd like to wrap those headers at least, but I gotta take them off the car, so that's not gonna happen anytime soon. Maybe in the future, or, I mean, you see they're kind of messed up here, so. Oof! Maybe I'll switch them out with something else. They're also kind of blocking me from doing an oil cooler on this car, right here. They have an oil cooler from factory, but they're not too great. And I'd like to do one with a fan and everything, so we'll see what the options are down the road, because we went to go try and fit the oil cooler on there, and the factory oil filter location just doesn't fit on there. Just rubs against the headers. Even if I could get the mount, like a sandwich plate, to fit on there, it's just so close to the headers, it probably wouldn't do very good in terms of cooling, those lines getting heat soaked. So I'll show you guys the cage. The cage is done inside the Corvette, so we'll check that out. But for now, we're going to get this exhaust mounted back up, try and see if I can find an issue with some brake lines here. This mess going on. See where it's leaking from, or where I'm losing pressure from, I guess, is what's going on. So, and then we'll test it out on the track. So everything's bolted back up and nice and secure. There was the previous person who installed this. When I took it out, I didn't bother disconnecting both of these because, you know, you only needed to take out one. But then I realized pushing it up that it wasn't aligned properly. So it was kind of hard for me to line both of these up, and I guess that was putting a lot of tension on this header, and it was actually pulling it towards this way. I mean, that's the only way it would have gone on, the way it was sitting. So this has a bend in it up here. So I loosened this and lined it up here against the header and then tightened it there when it was in a good spot, and then bolted it up, or excuse me, lined it up here so that there's no active tension pulling on this header, because obviously it's not good for the header bolts in the block. So feels good now, looks good, nice and straight. If you're watching this so that you could see how to apply this heat shielding, it's really easy. It's just a peel back sticky tape, and it just lines up to these bolt holes. I recommend doing one end and then progressively doing one bolt hole at a time, because it is not perfectly straight, and the bolt holes, like if you get this perfect, it'll overlap here. You kind of have to like squish it down first so that it lines up with the next hole. And then if you do have long tube headers, start on this side so that you don't have to try and squish in here and like lay it out that way like I did. So this is the new cage. It's a cage kits cage, so everything fits together really well. I got the NASCAR bars, so it's actually same height as a seat, so I'm not trying to crawl over anything. It's already hard enough to get into this car. And new handbrake.
Shots till I drop, gonna be 24/7 golden hour like a boss. And they say, yo, guess you got a 2 o'clock appointment for a champagne shot, oh yeah. I'm busy trying to take it higher, got no time for never, only spending cheddar. Wish I could do this forever. Chilling with the hottest company, they all wanna welcome me to their private penthouse suite. Yeah, now I got the key. Rooftop pool, got a heli on speed. Ocean view from the highest peak. I'm complete. Chilling in paradise. Sunny days, no clouds in the sky, about to get away. Feels like it's been a freaking decade. Sorry, don't call me 'cause I'm gonna be on break. Sunny day.
All right, so we did get a chance to test the Vette out on a private day. I didn't get a whole lot of footage because I was really focused on the car and getting everything situated and really diagnosing what I like about the car, what I need to change. And overall we had a really good day. So I got it aligned and it felt very smooth. Steering rack feels much nicer than it did before. The only thing is the bump stops were set in a little too far, and I think that has something to do with the wheels that I have on here are not as aggressive as an offset as they should be per FDF. So I think that once I get some more aggressive offset for the front of the Vette, it's going to actually give me a lot more clearance, and I'll get a lot more angle out of the kit once I set those bump stops back a little bit. But overall, it was a very eventful day. Had a fun time, lots of great tandems, good drivers out there. Just really hot. My AC went out I had to order another blower motor, which no big deal. Just took a while to diagnose. I was trying to figure out what the heck was going on with the AC, why it wasn't turning on, and it turned out I removed the blower motor, hooked it up to the battery separately, and it was done. So that'll be here tomorrow, and I'll get that installed and be much more comfortable in there. Wanted to do a couple things on the Skyline, which is running really great still. Just did an oil change, put some VR1 Mobil 1 oil in there, and the oil pressure is it's a lot better. I wasn't happy with where the oil pressure was sitting at idle, and now using the 20W50, it is sitting a much higher, more comfortable pressure. The only thing is now is that the ECU actually shut off on me last event that I had it out, and I was like mid drift and it just shut off. Mechanically, everything was still running, so it was operating fine. It's just the dash went out, radio electronics went out, ECU went out. So I've got some wiring under there that I got pulled out. I'm going to see what was going on, why it shut off. I still haven't sealed the hole that is behind the wheel well when I relocated the harness. So maybe that has something to do with it, because it was raining when we were running. It's on the other side there, but just to show you, the Nissans have holes going through the firewall on both sides, and I moved the harness, if you didn't see the last video, and that probably was allowing water to get back there. I did move the ECU away from that hole, so I don't think that's an issue, because I checked back there and it's really not that wet, or it wasn't that wet that day, so I don't think that's it. But there's probably just a loose wire in there or something that was just cutting power. But on to next project. Got the IS here, and I removed the Stance Boy rear end. I was afraid that it was going to be like cut springs and whatnot, but he actually had installed some decent arms under there. It was sitting on, I knew it was on BCs and some obviously adjustable upper arms, but it had the trailing arms, has upgraded toe arms. It's nothing crazy or anything in terms of brand, but it works. It's better than stock. It's fully adjustable, so we're gonna leave it that way because it's gonna be perfect for what we're doing with it, low power drift car. So that's cool. I've got the rear end just kind of eyeballed and aligned. Switched it to the ESRs instead of the RPF ones that were on there, and it looks pretty good. For having an eyeball alignment, it's not bad. Way too grippy tires on there. Not gonna be able to drift those on these cars, but it's what I had on the wheels. We've also got some stuff going on inside on the dash. New seats are on the way. I've got some budget front angle from Drift HQ, and a couple of little things in the motor. Had a dead Walmart battery in there, so I'm trying to charge that up. Might have to put a new one in. Got to do some work on the bumper. New headlights are sick. Took out the old faded ones for these cool halos. But overall, sitting pretty nice. Can't wait to start doing some more work. I just gotta get the important stuff done on the Vette and the Skyline first, and then I'll be able to put that on the lift. And I've got rear subframe bushings and diff bushings that are going to go in when I take the diff out, because I gotta weld the diff anyways. So when we get that done, she'll pretty much be ready. I just install a hydro, which I have as well. The Skyline is a never-ending project, as most drift cars are, but now that everything's looking really nice and I don't have to do a bunch of body work anymore, and everything that I have to do is pretty much just fixing shit as it breaks, keeping up with maintenance, and kind of just little odds and ends as I go. I'm gonna do something I've been wanting to do for a while, which is add Underglow to the bottom of the car. This is just a kit off of Amazon, but it is one of the nicer ones off Amazon that actually has some weather resistance, and the whole thing is gel coated. It's not like a cover, it's like part of the strip, so that should be nice. And you do a bunch of different modes and light shows and stuff, so we'll have actual moving LEDs along there instead of just one solid color. So that's what we're gonna do now. So after standing here trying to decide where I was going to run these lights without them showing, which I really didn't want the strips right there, because I kind of like a diffused look where it's kind of like the light is bouncing off of something down at the ground. So the side skirts ended up going right on the frame. That way it's going to kind of bounce off these side skirts, and if I ever need to remove these, replace these or anything like that, I'm not going to have to take the lights with me. They'll just kind of stick to the car. That, and they're kind of elevated above the kit, so it kind of leaves a more subtle glow as opposed to just seeing each LED shining. So what I ended up doing in the back is actually putting the light strip all the way up here against the frame. I want it to actually shine behind the wheel, or glow behind the wheel rather, and create like this effect in there, you know, showing off all my cool stuff and subframe and drop knuckle kit and everything like that. It actually stuck surprisingly well for being somewhere that's getting all this debris from tire and stuff. Prep work is key. I really cleaned this up with like degreaser, then I let it dry, then I cleaned it off with alcohol, then let that dry, then I stuck it on there, and I'm also going to put like clips and stuff over here, and I'm going to use as many like factory points like this. So what I'll do is basically like this is a bolt hole here, so there's nothing here, so I'll find a bolt that matches those threads. It's probably an M6 on this car, and I will find a big fat washer. I'll stick a zip tie behind that washer, bolt it down, and then zip tie this, or I will take like a little plastic clip and just bolt it down so the plastic clip is actually holding it up, and that will actually keep it from getting wrapped up in my axle or getting, you know, unstuck from the debris, getting underneath the 3M sticking or anything like that. So I'm pretty surprised with how nice that stuck on there. It's pretty good actually, but definitely gonna do some reinforcements to that, get the other side done, and then get it all wired. I also really wanted to have, in addition to normal underglow under here, I wanted this area to like glow. I'm sure you guys have seen like intercoolers with lights behind them glowing and everything like that. So again, I didn't want to attach them to the bumper because I had to take this off a lot, and having wires attached to it is not fun. So I ended up just putting the wires behind the bash bar and stuck it to it, put some zip ties along it, and wired it that way. So it should put some LEDs right against that intercooler and hopefully down a little bit. And then we'll have like two tiers of lights. So it'll be back glowing here and then some straight down from the bottom of the intercooler as well. Right now we have Cole Wiring Master, who is helping me run this wire straight through the wheel well. He's going to go all the way behind the dash, and we're going to hook it up to the ECU back there so that I can actually just turn these on with the Haltech button switch, which I installed not long ago. And basically once we get all the power and everything down there with the ground and the signal wire, then we can go into the ECU and literally just tell the push of a button as a function to turn all the lights on, which will be cool. All right, so we're finished wiring up the lights. They look insane. They're honestly like the coolest Amazon underglow things you could see, or that you could buy. So there's like 200 some odd different modes. I haven't gone through them all, but I'm gonna turn off the lights and switch the camera so you guys can see how ridiculously cool this is. Okay, so as you can tell, the lighting up here by the subframe worked great. It kind of accents all the stuff going on in there. If you bend down, you can actually see the LEDs, but standing from any angle reasonably, it's just kind of diffused all over there. This is the look that I was talking about. This is like diffused going all the way across. You can't tell that there's like individual LEDs. There's this nice flowing pattern. This kit is really cool. It's got all these different modes. I'll show you guys the front as well. So you can kind of see the reflection in the bumper standing here of the individual LEDs right there. But that's only if I like bend down to look at it. You're standing up here, it's just got that diffused look all the way across the floor, and then obviously going all the way across the intercooler. Looks much better at night, but it's kind of hard to tell with the lights off because the iPhone camera doesn't pick it up. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and we got a lot done, a lot more to come, a lot more things we got to nail on the IS, things that are on the way, things that are here that are not finished in terms of like I need more pieces to be able to install the whole thing. Corvette's got some issues with the AC. You got to put a new blower in there, and yeah, lots of things. We got to do the transmission and the Skyline. Got sitting here still, so I'm gonna do a whole video on that when it finally becomes time that I can use the lift for several days without needing to put anything else on it. Right now I'm just kind of using it for little things and getting it done one thing at a time. So the car's gonna have to sit up there for a little bit, mostly because when I put the transmission in, I'm gonna have to measure out the space for the drive shaft and then the shift linkage. So once we get those measurements, I gotta send them in and have them custom made. It's gonna take a couple weeks probably, so it's gonna be sitting up there unless I put it down and roll it back. So that is the next big thing. We'll be doing a video on that, of course, and some other projects along the way. Thanks for watching. Yeah.